You handle the truth. Here's Dave Ross.
The truth of the matter is the world of golf has never, ever been more chaotic and, dare I say, entertaining than it is right now. We all saw what happened on Tuesday, and it was shocking. It was shocking to the players in the PGA Tour and shocking to the players and some of the executives of LIV Golf. And what it was, for those that have been living under a rock for the last 5 days, is PIF, which basically funds LIV Golf, will now be funding both the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and LIV Golf. If anybody tells you right now they know what's going to happen in 2024 when this all takes form, they're lying. They don't. Is LIV Golf going to go away forever? Is the PGA Tour now basically succumb to PIF and to LIV Golf? Are they now the smaller entity? What happens with the DP World Tour? Can these three entities coexist under one happy umbrella going forward? To answer that question, I think we'd want to hear from Rory McIlroy, who after seems stunned by this merger, acquisition, whatever you want to call it. And here's what Roar's had to say about LIV Golf going forward.
But it's not LIV. I think that's the thing. I still hate LIV. Like, I hate LIV. Like, I hope it goes away, and I would fully expect that it does. And I think that's where the distinction here is. This is the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and the PIF. Very different from LIV. All I've tried to do is protect what the PGA Tour is and what the PGA Tour stands for, and I think it will continue to do that. So, look, going forward, I hope that there may be a team element, and you're going to see maybe me, maybe whoever else play in some sort of team golf, but I don't think it'll look anything like LIV has looked, and I think that's a good thing.
A lot of questions, a lot of voice going up from Rory, because Rory doesn't even know. And Rory is upset because he was left out of the decision-making process. By the way, this is not a done deal. This has still got some couple other hoops and twists and turns potentially to make sure that this merger, acquisition, again, whatever you want to call it, is in fact official. But Rory's hurt. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear it in his comments. And he's hurt because he feels like I was left to hang out to dry. I was put up there as the new face of the PGA Tour, taking the reins from Jack Nicklaus, who'd passed it to Tiger Woods, who's now passing it to Rory McIlroy. And then I had no say in this. He might still have a say in it. But as much as he hates LIV Golf, as much as he wants LIV Golf to go away, and by the way, it could go away. And this is not me rooting for LIV Golf. We just don't know yet what's going to happen with it. But here's what I can tell you what will happen. Next week at the United States Open, cue the music. Bounce, 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 bounce. NWO. There is a new world order in professional golf. And Rory can hate it. Jack Nicklaus can tell you last week at Jack's place at the Memorial, LIV Golf is not real golf. It doesn't help grow the game. And then all of a sudden, after the merger on Tuesday, what did Jack say? No, it's good for the game of golf. These guys are doing complete about faces. They're doing a lot of mental gymnastics to tell you they're still the bad guy. We're still the good guy. Leave your morality at the door when you're handicapping golf and when you're looking at who the winners are. Because look at the odds boards. Guess who's ahead of Rory McIlroy? Brooks Koepka. Where does Brooks Koepka play? LIV Golf. What were we told for the last year plus about LIV Golf? Not real golf. They're not as good. They only play 54 holes. All that has gone away. Why? Because results matter. And Brooks mollywopped the field at the PGA Championship at Oak Hill last month. Okay, that's what Brooks did. You could have got 99-1 on Brooks to win at Augusta, which he finished in second place. Why? Because the narratives written by Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour stands was that league is no good. They're not on our level. They still do commercials. This is where the best golf is played. Now, all the best golf, they're all owned by the same business daddy, by PIF. All the checks are coming from the same place. So Jay Monahan, who was out there holier than thou, that a year ago, right at the RBC, at the Canadian Open, did an interview with Jim Nantz a year ago and said on national TV, do you have to apologize for being on the PGA Tour? That's quite the statement a year later to then shake hands with the very people you said you would never shake hands with. I told my players, Jay Monahan, you can't take this money And then what does Jay Monahan do? Takes the exact same money. I'm tired of hearing about the morality. Who's good, who's bad. Brandel Chambly, I think he's a really smart guy, does a great job on the Golf Channel. They've been carrying a lot of water for the PGA Tour. And now they don't know what to say. Brandel is as confused as Rory McIlroy is. So here's what I do know. I'm not going to back the Rory McIlroys, the Justin Thomases of the world, the vocal people for the PGA Tour next week, because Rory's playing real well again this week. He played real well last week at Jack's Place. PGA Tour events. But when the other guys, the bad guys, are allowed to show up and play, they play pretty darn well. So I'm not going to short these guys. I'm not going to ignore these guys. Golf is golf. And Matt Brown, to me, right now, bad plays are playing Rory McIlroys at major championships because they, quote unquote, play in the better league. I think that has been put out to pasture for good.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly small sample size until you're talking about one player in Brooks Koepka.
Well,
like everybody else,
wait,
you're about one guy.
That's not true. At the Masters, of the top 5, 3 were from LIV. I mean, it's there. Phil Mickelson finished second. Bryson DeChambeau, top 5. So it is a small sample size. Yeah. But the point is, golf is golf. If you're better than me, Matt, we go out and play, you're going to be better than me at 54 holes and probably 72.
Well, I mean, probably not. I mean, like, that's not, how many times do we see leads change on Sunday? Sure. All the time? I mean, like, that is the whole point of it not being real golf is because it's not in the spirit of where golf. The reason that good golfers are better than, we just talked about this. Any scratch golfer can go out and have a miracle round and whatever. The reason you play 4 rounds is because the variance gets taken out over the length of play. Like, the more holes you play, the cream is going to rise to the top. That is the reason you play 4 rounds of golf, and the reason why 54 holes isn't real golf in grand scheme of things. We've seen leads change on Sunday a myriad of times over just this season, much less, and we've seen it happen in majors as well. And so,
but doesn't that notion get a little bit put to bed with what we've seen this year? Because remember, LIV Golf, by the way, has only been in existence playing for 1 year. So you're talking about the small sample size. And look, we had these conversations about Cam Smith. Does say a guy like Cam Smith now who won the Open Championship last year, not 10 years ago. And by the way, Rory hasn't won a major in 10 years. I just can't buy the notion that because these guys are playing in shorts and they got music and it's the Happy Gilmore Tour, right? And the PGA Tour kind of looks at them and looks down at them a little bit as snotty. And I get it. And I understand why. But the quality of play, whether it might not be as good, certainly as the PGA Tour is week to week, the elites on the LIV Golf are still as good, if not better, than the elites in the PGA Tour.
The numbers speak for themselves, Dave. I mean, you're talking about Brooks Koepka. Sure, he's 11-1. The next LIV guy you find is 35-1 at Dustin Johnson down the board, and that there's 30 other guys.
But they did this at Augusta.
Before you get, you're more than welcome to bet him at 35-1 if you want to. I mean, like, go right ahead. But the reason we have betting odds is the likelihood of these guys actually winning.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're cherry picking 2 tournaments in which guys had good finishes, but obviously the odds would dictate that if that were the case. Do you understand?
Sure, but Bryson is right there.
That's why we have betting odds. Like, if they were likely to win these events, then they wouldn't be sitting down here at 50, 60, 100
I think
to 1.
they got pushed down by the narratives that were being written out there for the last year.
Brooks, you're saying a narrative against the guys when Brooks Koepka's 11-1?
Because he just won at the PGA Championship. But what was he at Augusta? He was 99-1, Matt. Why was that number out there?
Well, that's out of sight, out of
narratives.
mind. That's out of sight, out of mind. That has nothing to do with narratives.
Sure, we didn't know. We didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah,
because you're not watching on the CW.
You have no clue. Like, we hadn't seen, unless you were watching these bootleg streams on Twitter. Like, you had no idea like what was going on with any of that stuff, right? And we had no data. We had no any of the things like that. So that was just an out of sight, out of mind is the reason they started. By the way, that was the opening number. By the time it went off, it was less than half of that. So I mean, like. Again,
but it did open at 99-1.
Right. But I mean, it was less than half of that by the time when the tournament went off. I mean, like, again, we live in a betting world. Like, these odds would be shorter if these guys were considered to be honest, true, real contenders in these tournaments.
Do you think Cam Smith is still an honest, true contender when he tees it up at major championships?
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.